All right, what is up, tycoons? What's up, traders? Super excited for today's video. We're going to go over two tokens that I've been watching closely. We're going to break down, some of the recent price action. We hit our bullish price targets on HBAR, and then we're going to go over XYO, and I'm going to teach you guys how we come up with some of these bullish price targets, how I come up with the levels, why we have these sets of 3 yellow lines on here so much on the chart. All right, so make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We're starting off here with HBAR. Now, one of the favorite patterns that I have is the wedge pattern, right? And there's two different versions, okay? You have the rising wedge and you also have the falling wedge as well. So as we can see, the rising wedge is going to be a bearish chart pattern where once you break this trend line right here, you're going to look for a downside move right around where the pattern began, okay? That's where it's going to play out in a perfect world scenario. And as you can see, that ended up happening. Okay, we broke down right to where the pattern began, and we actually continued heading lower. And straight after that, we made a falling wedge. Now, a falling wedge is going to be a bullish pattern. We got a nice breakout to the upside right where the pattern began. Okay, and then we ended up continuing heading back downwards after hitting the profit goals up here. Now, currently we had this big, really, really big falling wedge. All right. And we had some bullish price targets up here, and we did a great job of hitting those bullish price targets. And we're starting to see a pullback, but we're retesting some of the major support levels that I gave in the last video and potentially even going to form a little bit of a double bottom right here. Now, of course, none of this video is financial advice. Rather, I'm just going over some of the different strategies and indicators and giving you guys a walkthrough of how to use those. Okay, now we'll get into these. These are the Fibonacci levels, right? And specifically, these are the 3 most common and well-respected. You have the 38.2%, 50%, and 61.8% levels. The reason you use these is because nothing moves in a straight line up or in a straight line down. Rather, you get a move up, retracement, continuation of the trend, or a move down, retracement, continuation of the trend. So it's going to help you spot trend continuation, and it also helps you spot trend reversals, which is exactly what we got here. So when you move down, retrace, and you start to consolidate and break through those retracement levels, that's how you can spot an upside reversal. And if you move up, retrace, consolidate, and break through those levels, then that's how you could spot a downside reversal. So to really reiterate that, right? Take a look how we have a swing high up here. We connect it down to our swing low. We move down, retrace, and then continue that trend, right? And move lower. Same thing over here, right? Now we have a new swing high, okay? Because we have a high and then a lower high. So now we're using our new high, connecting it down to our new low. We retrace up to the 61.8 and then continue heading lower, right? And then over here, you can see that we actually come up, we consolidate a little, and then we break out past it and we get a reversal where we put in a high, and now we're putting in higher highs versus the high and lower highs, okay? Now, one thing that I also really like to use a lot is the relative strength index, the RSI. And the reason being is this is going to show you the relative strength of a token at its given price. And so if the token's going up, you should see the relative strength index going up as well. But sometimes you can spot divergences. And that simply is what occurs when the price of the token is doing something different than the relative strength index. So take a look at this period here. Okay, you can see we're clearly heading up higher in this range, right? We're making higher highs, we're moving up higher, okay, right in through this range here. But the RSI actually formed a bearish channel, okay? So we had a little bit of a bearish divergence, and it's an indicator that traders may use to, spot some potential bearish activity. But you can also use this to look for another breakout, right? For the next breakout. So in this case, we had a bearish channel on the relative strength index. Meanwhile, we were moving upwards, creating higher highs and higher lows on the actual price of the token. And we were looking, and I said, hey, if you're bullish on this, you want to see a breakout and then you want to see a retest, okay? You don't want to see it break out and then do a look above and fail and actually start trading back inside of that range, right? If it just got a simple breakout and then came back into this bearish channel, that's going to be pretty significant, because what it's going to mean is that the bulls were able to get a breakout and look up above, but ultimately they failed when presented the opportunity to really take control, and bears ended up taking control. In this case, that's not what happened. We pushed up above and we hit our 3 bullish price targets we had to the upside on HBAR. Very, very beautiful. And so now we're pulling back to our major retracement levels that we had previously. And as I mentioned, we're putting in a little bit of a double bottom here. So pay close attention to 0.0636. That's going to be a really key level to pay attention to. All right. If we break below there, most likely we're going to retest some of our previous lows around 0.0583 and 0.0530. Also, keep a close eye on this relative strength index channel right here, okay? We want to see us continue to bounce and stay above this previous channel and this previous trend line that we had. Okay, we did get the strong breakout move, but now we want to see if we can still just kind of use this as a little bit of momentum, all right, and start to flatten out and potentially even start heading back up again. So that's HBAR. Now we're going to go over XYO real quick. So taking a look at XYO on the daily chart here, we can see that since 2023 started, it really had this huge explosive move, okay? But really has just traded sideways since then and consolidated. Now, we were watching this symmetrical triangle pattern right here, a little bit of a pennant, okay? And we were looking for either a breakout to the upside or a breakout to the downside. Now, I mentioned that if we do get a breakout to the upside, we have our major Fibonacci resistance levels we need to pay attention to. And if we got a breakout to the downside, we had this small demand zone here, okay, that we could potentially bounce in. All right. Now take a look at how well we've really been respecting the technicals. We came down into this demand zone. And, you know, I just put a video on XYO out last week, okay, showing you guys this demand zone. And you can see we respected it really well. There's still an imbalance of buy orders there. And obviously you can see that we got a very strong push up above. So remember, I mentioned the look above and fail in the last ticker that we were looking at. In this case, we're starting to show signs of a look below and fail. So bulls, or rather bears, were presented the full opportunity to really get a nice breakdown and push this thing down to some of our previous lows around 0.004. Rather, they failed, right? So they looked below, were presented the opportunity to really break through this demand zone and really drive price lower. But bulls came in and there was a huge spike in price right there. Okay, so we're starting to show signs of a look below and fail. All right, and that's going to be good. Now, we still need to keep in mind our Fibonacci resistance levels, which are going to be 0.0067, 0.0072, and 0.0077. If we can break through these three levels, then that's when we have the possibility of retesting our previous high and potentially even making new highs, okay? Now, our demand zone is still going to be relevant if we come down. That's going to be about 0.0049 up to about 0.0051. So, you know, if things do start to pull back again, just pay close attention to this level because it could be another potential bounce zone. But the more times you test a level or you test a demand zone or test support, the weaker it gets, right? So keep that in mind. We really want to see XYO continue to trend back upwards, break through this initial trend line on the top here, as well as break through our major levels to the upside to have any chances of retesting our previous highs or even creating new ones. Now, in HBAR, we had something known as bearish divergence, right? Well, in this case, we actually had a bullish divergence. So if you take a look, we have a low right here and then a lower low right here. So clearly the token's in a downtrend, right? It's getting lower in price. But if you look at the RSI, we have a low and then a higher low. So we're actually increasing in relative strength as the price of the token is going lower. This is a term known as bullish divergence. And as you can see, we had that really strong move to the upside. And now we're consolidating, putting in a little bit of a double bottom here in our demand zone. We're going to see how that plays out. And if this is truly a look below and fail, this could mean that bulls are really trying to take control here and going to retest our major Fibonacci levels that I just gave you guys. All right. Now, even here on the relative strength index, that initial bullish divergence, look at what we did, right? We came back, we dipped below, right? And then they failed. So sellers, you know, basically were presented the opportunity to get this thing really into a super extended oversold territory, retest some of the previous lows, but they failed. Bulls stepped in and pushed the price up higher. So, you know, we're seeing some good signs on XYO. All right, but we really need that momentum to continue. If this is just a dead cat bounce, then most likely we're going to come back, retest this demand zone. We break that demand zone. Most likely we're going to end up retesting this 0.004 area. Okay, and then on HBAR, we want to see if it can form a double bottom, how this formed a double bottom, right? So we have the double bottom right here. All right, HBAR is setting up a little bit of a double bottom. We'll see if we're going to be able to get the same reaction or not. no guarantees, but hopefully you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. I do viewer requests every single week. So if you like this video and you want to see your tickers, your cryptos, tokens in the next video, all you got to do is comment down below and I'll get to it as soon as I can.